Hello, Tori. Can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you, but I cannot recognize you.
You cannot recognize me.
Oh, Luis, is that you? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I should probably like.
Yeah, it says CNCF upstream.
There we go. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, the first thing that you said, I think your voice was hoarse, and I thought it's somebody else.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hoarse.
I keep forgetting that I logged in as CNCF upstream. Hey, Akash.
Yeah, Kash.
So typically, okay. So I see Sajay.
Hello.
Hello. Typically, this one has a little bit less quorum than the one that's later.
Yeah, because now Susan is in Australia, right?
Yeah, she's starting now, beginning of June. I believe that's kind of when she's starting. And yeah, a lot of the participants or community from China, this is too early for them. So we do kind of one every other week at this time, and then one every other week at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard, no, 4:30 Pacific Standard Time, to accommodate different time zones. I believe Min was also gonna join today. Well, let's see if she joins a bit later. Let me share my screen. Are you able to see the screen? The notes?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. All right. So we are almost 5 over, so let's get started. Oh, I see. Min is joining now. All right, so it's actually, let's wait for Min to join since she's new. Hello, Min. Can you hear us? Oh, she's connecting. Hello, Min. Can you hear us?
Yeah, now I can hear. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, since this is.
How can I mute? Oh, okay.
Before you meet, since this is your first meeting, typically joining the community, do you want to just give a brief introduction of yourself?
Oh, hi, everybody. I'm Mingming Wang. I'm UX designer working in the ACR and MLR space. Nice to meet you all.
All right. Thank you, Min.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's get started. We have a planned release for Friday, RC4. This will be a bit of a lightweight release. It will include only a small number of changes from the last release. I don't see anyone from AWS in the call, but it will include a couple of changes to support some of their features. So this would be an important release for them. So yeah, so just as I don't think we have any pending changes for this next release. So, but if in any case, if you have any changes that you want to see on this release, please merge them before tomorrow in the morning Pacific Standard Time. And if it's a big change, which I don't anticipate we have any, please let one of the maintainers know, so that we can actually be aware and have a discussion if needed. But as far as I can see from the pull request list, we don't anticipate anything going in before tomorrow morning. Okay, so let's look at the pull requests that are currently active. Akash, you were looking into a short pull request to bump record to 1.1 and cosine to 2.0. Do you want to give you an update on this?
Yeah, so this one came in as a regular dependent pot update because of a vulnerability in Recore. So it turns out after cosine went to 2.0, a lot of the other 6 store projects went 1.0, including Recore. And there's a lot of like changes between them. And so that now our current cosine verifier is not compatible with cosine 2.0. And the Recore bump to 1.1 requires cosine 2.0 as well. And when I went to bump cosine 2.0, it had a lot of external indirect dependencies that got bumped, which forced bumping the MSAL Go library also. So there's like a lot of cascading version bumps that had to happen. I made some changes to support cosine 2.0. There's a lot of extra features that they've added, like some change of behavior in the transparency log verification. They added some extra features like, I think it's called SCT discovery, which is used to discover if there's transparency log-based signatures that can be discovered. So those have some implications in terms of like our local signing verifier and how we configure that. So I made some changes there, but this is not like a RC4 blocker. Maybe we can take this after because there is some stuff that changed.
Yeah, I agree. Makes sense. Yeah. All right. So I mean, the other big change that's currently open by you, Akash, I don't know if you want to give a summary of the cache unification, kind of any open questions you have here still.
Sure, yeah. So we had some initial discussions last week, but basically the gist was that in order to support HA in Ratify, we wanted to have Ratify run as at least a replica set. And since Ratify has dependencies on various levels of caching, and there's also the timing constraint on the gatekeeper side, we would need to have some sort of shared cache between different replicas, as well as some sort of shared blob store cache for the actual blobs that are downloaded from registry. So along those lines, this PR covers the first part, which is unifying the caches. So previously we had 3 different cache implementations for our in-memory caching solution. So this introduces a caching provider and then implements 2 different providers. The first one it implements is a Ristretto cache, which is one of the caching mechanisms we currently use, and it backs all of the caches behind Ristretto. And then if for the HA scenario where you have multiple replicas, we would want to implement a Redis-based cache provider that can be shared among the different replicas. So this also adds the Redis cache provider and all of the chart-based logic for switching between the different providers and all of the extra resources required for Redis, including the Redis pod, the Redis service endpoint, and the Redis configuration map. So a lot of changes in this PR. It's going to take time to review it, but getting close to a point where we can start a first round of review. So
nice. And you did include a pointer on the Slack channel for anyone in the community to provide feedback, correct?
Yes, yeah, and the document has more information, some of the discussion we had, pros and cons, so can refer to that if you have more questions.
Okay, thank you. So Bin has an open PR for support for Rego policy. So given this is a bit early in time for Bin, I'm gonna ask him to go through this next on our next community meeting. That's at 4:30 Pacific Standard Time. So that should give him also more time to get to add some more detail here. Okay, so we went through the open PRs. We got a couple of presentation discussion agenda items. So RC4 readiness, we don't have any foreseeable PRs to go through. I'm assuming, Cash, we want to cut a release on Friday. Do we foresee any issues there?
No, I don't think we have anything outstanding. I think we should give the AWS folks a heads up that
Right.
we're going to release, and then if they could at least do like a sanity check with their workflow just to make sure, because we don't have any end-to-end testing. But beyond that, should just be a normal release cycle with the release notes and all of that. So.
Right. Yeah, I will start working on the release notes as well, and then work with you to get those published on Friday. So Min, do you want to give an update on the Ratify logo?
Oh, sure. Yeah, maybe I can quickly share my screen.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with Zoom. I don't know. It looks like you disabled the participant screen sharing.
Oh, did I do that? Okay, let's see if I can.
Yeah, just make sure you're not sharing more than what you should be sharing, because if this
Right.
is streamed, then it'll be stored in YouTube or something like that, right?
I see.
Yeah, that's a good reminder for folks in the call. Please make sure you don't you respect your NDA, so don't share any details about customers or internal projects or meeting deadlines. So yeah, good reminder there, Sajay. And I don't know if that can actually allow you to.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I was thinking it's good to show the logo, but
oh yeah, actually
Luis, you can make Min host temporarily.
I can do that. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, there's nothing internal. It's just some concepts. Then
there we go. I made you a host, Min.
Okay. Oh, okay. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, these are some exploration. I used the AI tool to generate some inspiration, and it looks too fancy actually. And then I discussed with Luis and Toddy and Freeman. These are we use this as like a brainstorming idea, but I think for Ratify it's used. Is this internal or not? This is Freeman shared to me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So basically, the concept is Ratify is used to certify and verify the notary signature. So we're thinking to use the stamp as a stamp as a concept. But these are too detailed. So I'm trying to abstract the concept from these inspirations like this, using some simple shape to create the logo. And then I also got some idea from Toddy, like to add the signature into the icon. And then I searched today's icon cloud design library, find some stamping idea here. So basically I combined like idea from Toddy, Luis, and Freeman into this one. And I think we think this one more accurately reflect Ratify's function. Like to have the signature and then to have the action to stamping on that, representing this like verifying. But regarding the color, I also received very helpful comments from the crew that it's better to use like a neutral color to reach the accessibility criteria. So I tried like a black, white, and also blue. So the color is customizable. I think Toddy commented like he prefers like a more fun color, and these are too neutral. Yeah. So I tried the green. Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to make a comment. Everything is blue, that's why.
Yeah. I think Luis also commented like we should avoid using this Azure Blue because it's not an internal project. So
Yeah.
I use a more random blue here. And also compared to green, because green give people a hint that the certify is successful, but actually we just do the certify and verification instead of informing a result, like a successful or failed result. So it's better to keep it neutral, like a black, white, gray, or blue, I think, instead of green.
I think we should also have a monochrome icon, like the black one or darker gray, because sometimes we'll need to use that somewhere. But yeah, so I'm fine with the blue. I'm just like, every logo is blue nowadays. It's like, what's the differentiator? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So Min, once you have like let's say the final 3 or 4 options, then we have a Slack channel where we can actually post a survey and ask the community kind of which ones they prefer.
Mhm. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, I think we are more aligning on using this concept, right? Using this concept. These are too abstract, I guess. And these are like too detailed, too fancy.
The abstract ones, at first I thought they looked like chess pieces.
Oh, right.
But then I think the signature on the bottom kind of makes it very clear. It's like a stamp,
right?
Stamping thingy.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, that's yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Very cool. I think I like what we have here at the bottom.
Oh, thank you.
I have one question. Do we need to have can we simplify the stamp?
The stamp?
Okay. Yeah, just it has this the blue part and the outline one. So do we need both or?
Oh, I see. Yeah, this one is just giving a like a behavior, like a sense of behavior, like this one. Like it's an action. You're stamping something. But are you suggesting remove this part?
Yeah.
What do you all think? Like.
So my thinking there is when we had it without that, it didn't, like I had trouble figuring out what it was. I feel like the extra thingy kind of makes it very obvious. It's like a stamping.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. I like it with the extra thing. I was just trying to see it on a small, let's say, if you have an icon somewhere, let's say in, I don't know, portal, some web UI where you have like a lot of things that have a, I don't know, a Ratify policy or something like this. If you have a bunch of policies and you wanna list it in a grid, and then the icon is very small, and the more things you have in the icon, the more kind of harder it is to recognize what it is. That was my only kind of thought, but I like it with both. Like this size looks okay.
Yeah. Maybe I can also provide the small size icon, then we can compare and see. And also like as you guys just suggested, we can do the voting in the channel. Like I can provide different proposals. But this one, I guess that's what we prefer. So
yeah,
let's narrow it down to like maybe 3 or 4 options, and then
no more than 3.
Yeah, no more than okay. Well, no more than 3.
4 options is too much. I'm overwhelmed.
That's
okay.
right.
Yeah, okay. one vote for each option, and then there's no
right.
Cool. Any more comments from this crew?
No, looks
Right.
good.
It's really cool. Thank you, Min.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. I'll stop sharing now.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, I need to make myself a host again. Claim host. Okay, continuing with the agenda. So Ratify website domain name poll. So I saw Feynman. Oh, posted a poll for the website domain. We have two options here, so please provide your preference on the domain that we wanted to eventually use as a permanent domain for Ratify. We'll get an update probably on the next community meeting when hopefully Feynman is able to join.
Do we have a list of the proposals or whatever?
We have two. We have ratify.dev and ratify.sh.
My preference will be dev or IO.
Then go to the and do your IO. I don't think we have IO. We can consider that. So, but yeah, right now the two we have are SH and dev.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not very keen on the SH part, honestly. Shell script.
Right. Maybe Sajay can provide some more historical context there. But
Yeah, this was Ralph's doing. Like, I asked him what all to register, and we went and registered a set of it. But we'll pick one and then kind of like donate it to this group of people, maintainers, to kind of like manage also. That's the follow-up. I think Feynman also wanted to go with dev because Notary Project is also around dev, and it's kind of the thing right now. So we'll stick with dev is what we were thinking. But once we have the logo, at least then that'll also be good to be on the website. So I think getting a favicon also will also help with the site. So I mean, if you provide the logo and the favicon, we can then update that.
Yeah, sounds good.
cool. We don't have anyone from AWS, so we don't have any updates there. And then OCI, yep, go ahead.
So the cache, I had my hand up before. I don't think you can show in my background, but roughly speaking, the problem was for the cache HA story is, I think there's a higher order challenge with usability, which is the customer will have to configure multiple replicas. They will have to configure a PVC. They will have to configure a Redis cache. And I spoke to Anish as to what does Kubernetes community do? How do we bring it into the cloud, and what's the story there? So the one thing that was said is at least it gives people an ability to try it out, configure it the way they want to. And as we get some round of feedback, we can probably see whether we should kind of like make the experience first class or move it into the service and things like that. Those are separate discussions and takes much more time because you have to support it and you understand where it is. But the open source model is there's going to be some overhead of configuring it, but you get full flexibility to take it the way you want to and run it. And so we need to figure out what is the story for HA. Like, it's like one of the discussions that Akash and I was having is, should we share the Redis cache? And definitely not, is my opinion, because this is security information. You don't want to share that with anything else. So how do we write this up? What is the guidance of when they set this up is equally challenging, but it's important. And we'll get feedback. I don't think this is going to be set in stone as to not everybody needs HA, but for all purposes of high amount of high throughput and high reliability, this might be the state for this year, at least. Is kind of what I want to just put a caveat in there, and it's not going to be easy.
What do you mean when with sharing Redis is basically having the same instance of Redis shared across other extensions or other?
Yes, like
I see.
the application is going to share. It's not.
Yeah, I see. So basically, what we're thinking here is having Ratify having its own.
Yeah, or somehow they configure something that is locked down so that others in the cluster cannot access it. I mean, those are just kind of like guidances that we will give, and they should know that. For example, when they run the gatekeeper policy, you run it in a specific namespace that other applications can't control and things.
Right.
We'll just call it out, and we'll see how it goes and get feedback. I'm worried about what Toddy's going to say. There's like 50 different flags in this. I'm like, yes, that's I'm warning him up front. Like, this is what's happening.
I have a question. So currently we implement our own cache, right? for the signatures.
We have 4 different.
4.
So currently they're all in memory. So it's
Yeah.
So sorry, go for it.
So that is in memory for the Ratify pod that is running on the cluster, and we have single pod on the whole cluster that is doing this.
Yes.
My question was, okay, so if we run, let's say, Ratify pod with, oh, sorry, I think I'm missing the point here. We are talking about HA. We are not talking about the multi-tenancy. Okay, then yeah, forget it.
That's exactly what I'm wanting to kind of like when you have somebody running with a large cluster with a large number of authorization, like a large number of validations or verifications, we want to be able to say, this is how you set it up, and this is roughly what the load looks like, and this is a recommendation. And it's not going to be as expensive as running as SAP, but it's not going to be cheap because you need some amount of reliability.
Right. The other issue is because our caching is within memory, it's not shared across different executables. So for instance, the other plugins like Cosine do not have any kind of caching.
Yeah, I honestly want to run a test where we actually have tons of signatures and tons of pods. So that's why I was kind of the other way looking at how can I authenticate with the registry, because I wanted to figure out how I can go and spam, for example, the registry with signatures. How will Ratify behave, how we can actually, for example, exploit it from point of view, okay, now I have like Ratify tries to verify I have like 500 signatures, right? That will time out for sure. All these things. So now, like, Sajay, just to be sure, now if I want to run Ratify, I need to run Redis also, right?
No, not for you. This is exactly what I wanted to prevent, right? Like, no, I think we discussed this. Akash and I kind of like spoke about, we're going to make the get started experience simple. But if you want to run HA, this is how you run HA. There's no in between confusion path, right? Like, okay, you enable this, enable this. It is possible, but we're not going to spend time documenting it for now because of the number of. I mean, it's only Akash.
Let's get the feedback first. Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, cool. It might be good, Akash, and I don't know if you, I don't think you've put that sort of notes on your design doc, sort of like optimizing for the starter experience. That might be a good point to call out, and how we want to basically build this into like a, for advanced users, here's kind of how you build up upon that. So that might be a good sort of like a preposition before you go through the whole caching story. Basically, hey, this is kind of what we're trying to do here.
Sure, I can add that. So yeah, actually along that lines, from our last discussion, I added the Ristretto provider as to be the default, so that it mirrors the exact functionality that we currently support, so that when we do release it, it's not any sort of breaking change or any sort of breaking behavior, and it's just purely additive in terms of Redis. So the chart that'll ship will ship with the Ristretto unified cache provider, which will have the exact same functionality as the current setup. And then you want like caching for external plugins, or you want replica support, then you can opt into Redis-based caching. So.
Got it. That would be for blob caching, right?
So no, this is for so there's 2 levels of caching. There's the in-memory caching, which is for like caching descriptors, auth information, things like that. So that is either your Ristretto based, which is in memory, and then Redis is your distributed cache. And then the other part of the story that we haven't worked on yet is the whole blob based PVC. And that's kind of, I think it's going to be the most super user advanced mode. So the progression would be, you start with Ristretto, you need more, then you go to Redis, you need even more than that, then you go to PVC. So
Makes sense. Okay. Any other comments on high availability? Thank you, by the way. I think Sajay is writing the notes. So thanks for writing that. OCI 1.1 RC3 upgrade timeline. Do we have a timeline for OCI 1.1 RC3?
No, so I think the other follow-up discussion is for notation and auras. We will be making, or at least we are going to be making the image manifest with the tag schema as the default for now. So we can just focus on getting this shipped and even GA'd if we want to. While the referrers API and all those things get more stabilized and we can start using that, we'll have time. And that's kind of the current set. Otherwise, all the releases of these get blocked over time.
So should Ratify just hold off until auras and notation bump, or?
Yeah, I think auras and notation will bump to support the new referrers and all that. So most of the read paths will continue working. So we should be able to just absorb it into Ratify. But for notation, I think there is one case yesterday we discussed, which is it's pushing signatures, but it doesn't push the tag schema if the target registry has referrers enabled. This surprisingly affects ACR because we have referrers, and so we won't push the tag schema. So notation is fixing that to make sure that the experimental flag is the only way to kind of use the new APIs or the new types. The good thing is that it doesn't affect Ratify because if you don't find it in the referrers, you fall back to tag schema anyway. So all the work is already done. We just need to make sure that we test that path more.
And I think there's a change to the artifact with the scratch config.
Right.
So we would need to change how we grab the artifact type depending on that, I think.
Not really. The referrers API will still honor the artifact type precedence over config media type. The specification is that scratch should be used in the config media type only when there is an artifact type. Otherwise, the config media type still holds, and the referrers API will honor that precedence. So when you still query, you'll still get the correct artifacts. So none of that should change. It's more like if you don't want to use, a lot of discussion was about an ability to make the artifact type a first-class field without confusing it with the config media type, because the config media type is actually a JSON blob and parsers fail and things like that. So registry operators have issues when the config media type is something random.
I see. Okay. But I think on the we would still might need to change, because currently we grab the artifact type from the artifact, the manifest itself. So we parse the manifest to grab the artifact type in order to figure out which verifier to match with it. So
Yes.
yeah, so that part would have to.
Yeah, all right. So you need the same precedence logic, which is if artifact type is there, use that. Otherwise, use config media type.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, but it's a downward look. It's not like upward. Like if this is scratch, don't look at artifact type. I think if there is artifact type, use that as the overriding precedence, and if not, use the config media type.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. I think that's everything we had to cover today. Are there any other questions, comments? Nope. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Bye.